Hi, this is Dave Kline, author of the Mountain Folklore column. This week's column has to do with antiques we used to use to have fun on the snow. And let me show you a couple that I broke out this holiday season when there was actually some snow on the ground locally here. Nothing man-made, it was one of the little bit of snow we got. Look at this, let me get this out. Some of you will recognize these. They're still in my truck. Come on out here. Yeah. What are those things? Steel Runner steerable sleds. Let me show them to you. Now, these are the kind of Steel Runner sleds that I had as a boy. I actually had a flexible flyer. This one on the left is a short one. It's called a Speedway. And I picked that one up somewhere at a yard sale or whatever years ago. And this one is a Sears model. It's a deluxe extra long Sears model. See, their steering system was a little more complex than this flexible flyer style, but I had a flexible flyer that was about this long, but that got destroyed many years ago when I was flying down a field and unable to stop and hit an obstacle, and that was the end of that front of that sled. Not to mention, it really hurt my head, but I'm still here, and so I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing these. These are still being sold, the flexible flyers at least. And this year I had the opportunity to go out with my wife, whom I coaxed into using her sled, and one of my daughters and her husband and their child, which is one of my grandkids. So let me show you some of that video. And here is my first attempt at a solo run on the small sled. It did not work so well. I rolled off the sled. And then I had a hard time getting back up. The second one worked better. Man, when we were kids, we used to do this for hours and hours. And now we have James and Sasha and Alma on the Steel Runner sleds. So the little Steel Runner sled is a flexible flyer. The bigger one's a Sears model from the old Sears department store. Now I want to show you some true antiques from the Pennsylvania Ski and Sport Museum display at Camelback Mountain in the Poconos. Here's an old rat trap binding. When I first started skiing, I skied on leather boots like this. Let's see, what else? These big cowbells come from the Alps. Of course, that's where skiing found its way to America from the Nordic countries. Yeah, my first boots were like this, lace-up boots. There's another sort of rat trap binding. They call it that because the toe goes into the metal device in the front, gets pulled tight with that leather strap, and that back spring goes just over the heel, and then it gets pulled tight with that device right there. Kind of like a rat trap. Down here we have an interesting antique as far as snow sports go. That was a pair of rollers that were used that you would put your ski boots on, and then you could ski on grass, supposedly. They weren't popular very long because, unlike on snow, when you had a crash and you slid and so forth, when you had a crash on grass and rocks, it really hurt like crazy. Then we have this thing here called the Snurfer. And I'm shooting this through a glass case. So the Snurfer is kind of like one of the things I featured in my article. And that is something called the Snow Bomb. They were both the same kind of product. You would hold on to them by the rope, and I'll show you that later on. And then you go down the hill. This eventually evolved into being what's now known commonly as a snowboard. Okay, some good antiques. Okay, now coming from that ski case that you just saw with the artifacts that are on display at Camelback Ski Resort in Tannersville, Pennsylvania, put there by the Pennsylvania Ski and Snow Sport Association, the museum, if you will. I'm going to show you a little bit of stuff in my collection, just a little bit. First, I'm going to show you the modern stuff, then I'm going to show you the antiques. So let's go over here. This is the current ski I'm skiing on right now. This is a high-end slalom ski. This is Stokely, manufactured in Switzerland. They're really great. They have like a profile that is a little bit fatter in the tip, and then as you move through the midsection of the ski, it's very thin, and then the tail flares out again. It enables you to make really powerful and really quick radius turns, short S turns, but it also carves really, really well for long radius turns. So that's why I like that one, mostly for East Coast skiing. Now, for deep snow, powder snow, like out west, or maybe sometimes even in the Alps, then I have these. These are like the award-winning ski for many years in a row. These are the Nordica Enforcers, and these bad boys, as you can see, they're extremely thick in the tip, and they continue to be thick all the way through the waist and through the tail, and this allows you to just kind of float over anything you'd want to float over, but you got to be willing to kind of sit back and bash through it. So that's the modern skis. As far as modern poles go, I'm going to show you contrast here. Let's see. Okay, good. So this is the kind of pole a lot of people are still skiing today, a ski pole. This is what replaced it, and this is what I ski with. If you look really close, you can see the difference in diameter here. Okay, this one, much bigger and bulkier, made out of aluminum. This one, made out of carbon fiber. In the old days, these were made out of bamboo. And so that's the progression. Bamboo, basically the metal to steel to aluminum to now carbon fiber, because it's quicker to the touch, much more lightweight to carry all day long, and a lot more responsive, in my opinion. Then we have cross-country skis. Cross-country ski is another form of skiing, not downhill. The stuff I already showed you was alpine skiing. These are my Fisher cross-country skis. They're considered backcountry cross-country skis. They're much longer than the regular alpine skis. These have metal edges and little fish scales here, so they grab as you're going up the snow. So this is where you're going along like this, chugging along, cross-country skiing. It's extremely exhausting, but it's very exhilarating. It's like walking in the snow. Almost anybody can do it. It's when you start going down the hills on these babies that it gets a little bit crazy. And for that, you use much longer poles. As you can see, these ski poles are way longer than the alpine poles. Now, as far as boots, you saw those lace-up boots in that display case that was just on from Camelback a little bit ago. That's what I started on. And now, of course, we've evolved to these high-tech, in a sense, racing boots, but this is what most alpine ski boots look like nowadays. Nordic boots for cross-country can be anything from a sneaker-looking thing to a sort of a hiking boot sort of thing with a toe piece that fits into the binding of the ski. Okay, this is what I'm wearing right now. Looking at the cross-country skis, here's an old pair of Karoo cross-country skis. Check out these babies. These are made out of wood now. Now we're talking about, you know, great old wooden skis. Really, really long for more stability. Here's the old bear trap binding where your boot would slide in there and then a piece would come in the back like a spring, and then you'd lock it on down. And once you were in there, you weren't coming out. There was nothing safe about this kind of binding. But look at the length of those bad boys. I can't even fit them on the whole screen. At the same time, the old wooden skis were made out of hickory because hickory was strong wood. Here's an old pair of downhill or alpine skis. Check them out. They had like a groove underneath here. These are antiques, truly, and the ones I just showed you. Now we're into the antiques. Okay, so these babies, same thing, even worse though. The binding on this was nothing more than a little strap. You'd put the toe piece of your little leather shoe in, and you'd hope for the best. Look at them, look how long they are. Whoa! They go on forever. So that is the antique style of skis. And now let me show you the antique snowboard. You saw that snurfer, I guess it was, in the display case at Camelback. Well, I didn't have a snurfer. What I had was really fun back in the day. It was also the ancestor of what's now snowboards. There's no bindings involved with these, no boots. You just wear whatever you had. You have a little rope in the front that you hang on to, and you stand on this thing. Mine happens to be called the ski bomb. And you would literally just stand on this thing, hold on to the rope, point it down the steepest hill you were bravest to go on, and off you went. And usually you didn't go far before you bailed out, because it was like terrorizing, really, to tell you the truth. So this is truly an antique. Look at this, wooden rudder screwed down to the plank. Almost looks like a water ski, right? Well, that's the idea. That's where it came from. And this, my friends, is the antique, and along with the Snurfer, the great granddaddy, if you will, of what are the modern day snowboards. Look, this is the antique version of what they now call a stomp pad. Forward foot, back foot, depending which way you stand. Well, that's it. Those are the antiques in my ski and snowboard and winter sports fun collection. These antiques, some of them I really had a lot of fun playing on, the sleds and the Snurfer here, the snowboard, the ski bomb, if you will, and the old cross-country skis and the old wooden skis. But we've evolved past that now, so I hope you enjoyed seeing the stuff in my collection, and I sure did enjoy playing with them during the day. Thanks for watching. Oh my gosh, P.S., postscript, I almost forgot. There's one thing in my collection that's very rare and hard to find. As a matter of fact, it's so rare, I only have one of them. I don't know what happened to the other one. Maybe somebody stole it, maybe it got lost along the way. I don't know, but these are really illegal now. You can't buy them anywhere. And it's a form of ski pole. It is an aluminum anodized ski pole. It's called the St. Bernard pole. Anybody guess why it's called the St. Bernard pole? It is made of the same anodized aluminum that beer cans are made out of. And why is that? Well, because you can take off the top and you could fill this ski pole with your favorite scotch or brandy or schnapps or whatever it is. Back in the day, people used to carry Boda bottles. You remember those wine bottles? They were like deer skins originally that you'd fill with wine and stuff. And it was different then. It wasn't that you were going out to get drunk and get crazy and stuff. It was just like part of the culture. You had maybe some bread, some cheese, maybe a little salami, and you had a little bit of a beverage to have with you out in the salt. Well, anyway, some genius came up with this, the St. Bernard pole. And I still have one in my collection, and yes, I did use it on occasion back in the day. Thanks.